Hello, everybody, or whoever's listening. Um, I thought I'd do a relatively brief rant. For those of you that have been listening to the Lords of the Night the last couple of nights, you may have heard something about this, or at least my opinions on it previously, but it just keeps sticking in my craw, as it were, or grinding my gears, as the kids would say. Ha ha ha. So I thought I'd, a little bit of catharsis, just for the hell of it. It came up last night. For reference, for those of you watching in the future, last night was the first of the two initial Democratic debates towards the 2020 election. And the subject of immigration obviously came up at one point or another. And this story in particular, which has been making the rounds the last several days, based almost entirely on a photo, came up. And it is that particular case and the situation surrounding it that I wanted to vent a little bit on. Before we get there, hello, Corey Suzuki. Hello, Brian O'Connor. Hello, Christine Morse. Hello, Big Father. Christine Morse says, yes, you are so old, been around Monkey too much. Now, Monkey's older than I am, so he's got no excuse. I'm young at heart, at least so I'm told. And I don't think I look my age. I'm sure the gray hairs might disabuse me of that notion, but generally speaking, if I were to shave off my mustache and my little goatee thing, I think I'd probably look a lot younger than I actually am. But regardless, just a warning: I'm about 2 pepper jacks into the day, just for the hell of it. So if my words slur, or if I seem a bit more verbose than I usually am, which would be saying something, that might be the reason. So in the description, you will find a link to a New York Times story regarding this particular photograph and the incidents surrounding it. Whether or not you're able to actually view the article, I don't know. They only allow, I think, 1 or 2 articles viewed per month without a subscription. But I have the full text in front of me, so I'm going to be reading from that as we proceed. I don't know. This story just keeps... I mean, this story is its own thing, but what it exemplifies is what is a continuous source of anger and frustration for me. But we'll get to that shortly. Hello, Captain Assassin. Hello, the Bat Douche. Hello, Griffin. Hello, Big Father Ent. Hello, Necrosol. Hello, Ebony. Hello, the next 6 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to be reading from the text. This will be a narration for all of you. The title is Photo of Drowned Migrants Captures Pathos of Those Who Risk It All. Pathos. Okay, now just for reference's sake, what does pathos mean? Sorry. A quality that evokes pity or sadness. Well, they are accurate in that estimation, but also gives it sort of a, I don't know, sentimental quality, an almost poetic quality by using the word pathos. Maybe that's just me. Mexico City. The father and daughter lie face down in the muddy water along the banks of the Rio Grande, her tiny head tucked inside his t-shirt, an arm draped over her neck. Sorry, an arm draped over his neck. The portrait of desperation was captured on Monday by the journalist Julia Leduc. Can you notice that I'm slightly inebriated? Julia Leduc, in the hours after Oscar Alberto Martinez Ramirez died with his 23-month-old daughter, Valeria, as they tried to cross from Mexico to the United States. The image represents a poignant distillation of the perilous journey migrants face on their passage north to the United States and the tragic consequences that often go unseen in the loud and caustic debate over border policy. It recalled other powerful and sometimes disturbing photos that have galvanized public attention to the horrors of war and the acute suffering of individual refugees and migrants, personal stories that are often obscured by larger events. Okay, now before I get into this next part of the story, I want to underline the fact that what happened here was a choice. It was a choice made by that adult father to carry his 2-year-old daughter into a rushing river. No one was holding a gun to his head. He did not have an army of rabid individuals at his back that he was running away from. The apparent motivation for his act of desperation will become clear shortly. But I want to underline the examples the author of this article proceeds to give us in comparison to the photograph of the father and daughter drowned in the river. Like the iconic photo of a bleeding Syrian child pulled from the rubble of Aleppo after an airstrike, or the 1993 shot of a starving toddler and a nearby vulture in Sudan, the image of a single father and his young child washed up on the Rio Grande shore had the potential to prick the public conscience. The child in Syria was the victim of a military attack. The child in Sudan was the victim of national debt and starvation and governmental malfeasance, to put it lightly. Both of those individuals were victims of forces beyond their control or awareness. That man, that adult father, chose with every step he took northward towards the U.S. border to put his 2-year-old daughter at risk. I'm going to set aside him putting himself at risk. He was an adult individual. He had all the autonomy in the world to make choices for himself. His 2-year-old baby did not. So for every step he took, for every mile he made north from his home towards the U.S. border, he was making a choice on behalf of his baby to put her life at risk, step by step, mile by mile. Now, I've heard people say, oh, he was escaping violence in his home country. Maybe so. Maybe so. But do you know what made him walk into the river that night? Apparently, let me read the story. The young family from El Salvador, Mr. Martinez, 25, Valeria, and her mother, Tanya Vanessa Avalos, arrived last weekend in the border city of Matamoros, Mexico, hoping to apply for asylum in the United States. Now, for those of you unaware, anyone coming to a port of entry at the U.S. border can legally apply for asylum and start the process of trying to gain entry to the United States legally on the basis that you are escaping some war zone or hardship or something else that would justify coming into the country without notice, essentially. Okay? So they were hoping to apply for asylum. But the international bridge was closed until Monday, officials told them. And as they walked along the banks of the river, the water appeared manageable. The family set off together around mid-afternoon on Sunday. Mr. Martinez swam with Valeria on his back, tucked under his shirt, Miss Avalos followed behind on the back of a family friend, she told government officials. So, putting that child at risk was not just the father's responsibility, no, the mother as well. They were so impatient. They were so quote unquote desperate that rather than wait 24 hours to go through the process legally, they decided to risk the river. And what's the result? Well, the father is dead and the baby is dead. Now, I have no, and I repeat, zero sympathy for the father and the loss of life. I'm sorry, you put your 2-year-old daughter into dire, negligent risk of her life. You don't get much sympathy from me. It's like somebody leaving their kid in the car on a hot day. I don't have any sympathy for that guy. I have all the sympathy in the world for the innocent child whose life was lost because her parents couldn't wait a day. Now, I've said it before, and I will likely say it again. I will not argue that our immigration system is a labyrinth of Kafkaesque Byzantine hoops to jump through. I have watched as coworkers of mine have gone through all of the crazy steps necessary to come to this country legally, to work legally, to bring their families here legally. But at the end of the day, at least they played by the rule, and it took a long time and a lot of frustration, but everything worked out in the end. Now, can I say that happens for everybody? No, I can't. But I'll tell you what. I'll bet you dollars to donuts that that mother right now, who I do have a certain amount of sympathy for, she just lost her husband and one of her children. I bet you dollars to donuts she would trade every difficult hoop to jump through in the American immigration system for the lives of her family back. And every time I see someone making hay of this, as though this father's life and especially this child's life is somehow emblematic of a problem with our immigration system. Like I said, every step that family took northward was a conscious choice to put themselves and their children at risk, whether by exploitation or dehydration or some other catastrophe that could have happened in between. But especially, most especially, standing on the bank of that river and taking the first step in, that's on them. You can hold the advocates of open borders or leniency towards illegal immigration in this country to a certain level of responsibility for this, a certain level. Whatever guarantees, rumored or otherwise, might have floated down to El Salvador to tempt this family northward. You could give a certain amount of responsibility to the advocates of open borders and lax immigration in this country. You could put some, I guess, responsibility on our immigration system for having the bridge closed that day, or for making the process of coming across the border or gaining entry into this country difficult as something they wanted to avoid and which drove them towards that river. You could make some argument that both of those forces working in antagonistic, arrangement with each other could have pushed this family to make that choice, but it was their choice. That father is not a victim of our immigration system. And he is not a representative of what all of us aspire to or something as parents. He threw his baby into a rushing river. He lost his life, and she died as well. Uselessly, pointlessly, and unnecessarily. But like that article says, if it weren't for that photo, we probably never would have heard about it. Because truth be told, this is not some kind of rare instance. People die all the time crossing the desert, crossing the river, getting stuck in panel vans that are driven across the border by coyotes, and dying of heat exhaustion. I mean, how many times now have we seen instances where SUVs full of illegal immigrants have died after they've run from the cops, after being chased after they crossed the border? I can recall at least 2 or 3 individual stories myself right now where that happened. You know, the cops see a suspicious vehicle, they follow, the car runs away, the car crashes in the chase, and several people die as a result because you've got 12 or 13 people packed into a Suburban trying to make it across the border. Now, this is not a rare incident. It's just the most high profile because of that photo. And I don't know what to tell you. Like I say, there's not much more for me to say, because just the general notion of people putting their lives, and most especially innocent children's lives, at risk, children who have no choice, children who have no reason elsewise but to trust completely their parents' discretion, especially when you're 2 years old. So all of the people like saying, "Oh, this is Trump's fault," on the left, or all the people on the right saying, "Oh, this is AOC's fault for tempting them in." No. There's one thing I'm a big proponent of in life, both for myself and for others. It's taking personal responsibility. It's not a fun thing to do sometimes, both taking it and encouraging it in others. And for all of the rhetoric on either side of the aisle, it all came down to that father and his feet at the edge of that river and choosing to step forward. It's his fault. It's his fault. And people trying to make political hay over this, or trying to make effective, like, high-level excuses, as though there were, giant forces above this person manipulating them one way or the other. Whether it's the hardships in their home country or the temptations of paradise in America. That all, in my opinion, falls away when your feet are at the river's edge and you've got a 2-year-old little girl on your back. I guess I don't have much else to add. The story goes on as it is. Links in the description if you want to try to read it yourself. And just to be clear, I'm not, the author plays it fairly straight, just reporting on what people are saying and how things are being interpreted. So I'm not holding the author to account for glorifying this or extending apologies or excuses for it. Though I have seen several iterations of excuses being extended towards that father, or people in general who would put themselves and their children at risk for this chance of coming across the border. But this incident in particular, because of its high profile and just how stupid it was. How many days and weeks, or I don't even know how long it took them to get from their home country to the border, and they couldn't wait a day to do it legit. They couldn't wait a day to wait for the bridge to open and cross and try to apply for asylum legally. I have no problem with people applying for asylum. I have absolutely no problem with people following the rules. If they eventually get drummed out by the system because their claim is found to have no merit or otherwise, credit to them for at least doing it legitimately. if their case makes it or not. But I've got zero sympathy for grown thinking adults trying to cheat, and as a consequence of that, losing their lives, and most especially, losing the lives of innocent babies. Okay, I think I've repeated myself several times. I'm going to go on to the chat, see what you guys have to say a little bit, and then I'll probably close this up. This Kyle says, I put all the responsibility on stupid people, and that extends to these parents and those that keep arguing in favor of immigration. I have no problem with immigration. And I really do hate this false equivalency that people are saying of if you're against illegal immigration, somehow you're anti-immigration. These are two completely different things. Legal immigration and illegal immigration are completely separate by definition. I have no problem with people coming here, whether it's applying for citizenship or showing up at a port of entry to claim asylum. I don't have a problem with that. That's on the books. That is law. That is following the rules. You will go through a process either way to become a citizen or to gain asylum. And your case for asylum may or may not pass muster. I don't know. Each case is its own thing. And if you're denied, if you're rejected, them's the breaks. But I'll at least give them credit for doing it legitimately. Is our system overwhelmed? Is it ill-equipped to handle this amount of people? Yes. Does it need reforms? Does it need some kind of streamlining? No doubt. But I've got no problem with people coming to this country legally and by the rules. Stop taking risks. Stop throwing your lives away, for God's sakes. Adam Mangold says, what about all those people that left America because Trump that die in snowdrifts trying to sneak into Canada? Well, I know a lot of celebrities threatened to move to Canada if Trump won the election back in 2016. I don't know how many of them actually did. I think it's probably a fairly low number. But, Assassin of the Gray Scribe Light, it is Trump's fault for enforcing the law that xenophobic racists. No, it's not Trump's fault. People were dying, trying to come to the border this has been happening for years, decades, in fact. People starving or getting dehydrated in the desert, people dying in trucks, locked in by coyotes coming from Mexico. People have been risking their lives across the border for forever. This is nothing new. It's just more, I guess, inflammatory now because immigration has become a talking point amongst the Trump administration and obviously a point of contention on the other side with the Democrats. MCR and Doniger, personal responsibilities assigned supremacy, next Vox article. Given the way of things on Vox and elsewise, or Slate and so many other outlets, or Huffington Post, that headline would not surprise me at all. If it hasn't already happened, God knows. Big Father Ent, well said, Scribe Blight. Well, you're giving me more than I think I deserve, given how I'm stumbling over my words with Jack Daniels and Dr. Pepper in me. Finishing off that one. Chat jump. Sorry, guys. Frosted Glass. Will there be any debate streaming attempt tonight? Yes. So far as I know, you want to watch Twitter because I don't have a link for it yet. But over on Satsu 2 Sense's DLive account, so you have to go to DLive and look up Satsu 2 Sense. That is apparently where we'll be streaming tonight, not on YouTube. So far as I know, I don't think there's a way to link the two together. So keep an eye on Twitter. Keep an eye on Satsu 2 Sense's channel tonight. That is my understanding. Let's see. Professor Chaos, they already have written articles that personal responsibility is a racist dog whistle. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. Captain Assassin. I used to live near the border checkpoint in Sarita, Texas. Illegal immigrants will do anything to get in here. It's insane how they'll risk their lives and the lives of others. it's unavoidable to say that there is something romantically, and I'm talking in the literature sense romantically noble about risking everything to try to get a better situation or to try to help your family, etc. I mean, and everyone in their heart of hearts wants to be the hero of their own story. You know, not every person trying to get across the border is inherently a criminal, although as soon as they do cross the border, they are inherently a criminal. Well, most people don't want to admit that. I can't deny some people's, or human nature in general's, desire to improve their conditions. You know, whether it's building a campfire in the cold or trying to get yourself into a better situation in a better country, or at least what you see as a better country. I cannot convict anyone of that instinct. However, I do have nothing but antipathy for a grown adult putting an innocent child who has no choice into that same level of risk. You know, that's not me condoning people jumping across the border illegally, but I can understand the motivation. You know, I think we all can, right? I mean, it is a human instinct to try to better your situation, from something as simple as finding an animal skin to keep yourself warm at night to trying to move off to a better situation economically. That doesn't make it legally right. And depending on how you do it, that doesn't make it necessarily morally right. But I can understand the motivation. But where I draw the line is putting an innocent person at risk for that. If you're a grown adult and you want to make your own decisions, hey, you want to put your life at risk for that? I think you're stupid. But it's your choice. And you're going to have to deal with the consequences one way or the other. But you take somebody who has no choice, who has no say, who's got no cognition to participate in that choice, that's on you. So, sorry, guys. I tend to monologue. Fire in Your Hole says, I say we mine the border. If they make it, they become citizens. We need lucky people in America. No, I don't want to turn the border crossing into a game show. I really don't. I just want people to follow the rules. And I wish our system was equipped in such a ways to handle the influx of people. You know, even if there's nothing but illegitimate claims left, right, and center, I would rather have living people go through the process and get denied than to have bodies washing up on the shore. I mean, there's... I don't have inherent dislike of people, like I say, trying to better themselves or trying to better their situation. And America is an attractive place to be. You know, it's in a kind of twisted way, or maybe not so much a twisted way. It is a credit to us as a country that we have the freedoms that we do, that we have the opportunities that are available to just about everybody. If you've got a little bit of pluck and a lot of luck and the odd opportunity here and there to make it, to establish yourself, to make a living. But I am not a big fan of cheaters, and I'm certainly not a big fan of people who put children at risk or who break the law or exploit other people to try to get ahead. Let's see. Christine Morris. Okay, has anyone looked as why the stream of illegals has become so high since 2016? There is something that's being dangled before them. Okay, this is my layman's perspective, and I think I'll wrap it up shortly after this. My layman's perspective is you've got a combination of an increased flow of information, okay, between social media and the internet, the temptations and the, sort of nebulous promises of America filtered down into more desperate places in the world far more quickly and far more completely than they have in the past. I think that's one factor. The other factor is there is no denying that in several South American countries, economically, things are at their absolute worst. We're talking like post-apocalyptic levels of desperation economically, and just sort of, as far as just having a safe habitat. Crime, corruption, gangs, violence. I mean, you combine that with extra access to media and information and rumor mongering and conspiracy theories and lies and promises of something more simple. Both of these forces combined are driving more people north. And I don't think it has anything to do inherently with Trump. I mean, if anything, you would think Trump and his rhetoric and his philosophy since he got into office would be more of a deterrent to people trying to come up here. But obviously it's not. No, I think regardless of who was president right now, whether it was Hillary or Bernie or whoever, the same problem would be occurring. I mean, different measures would be taken, obviously, depending on who was in the White House as to how to respond to it. But I think the same situation would be ever present. That's my layman's perspective on things. Let's see. Cynical Lindsay says, yo, what did I miss? Well, I'm sorry, Lindsay. You'll probably have to rewind and listen from the top, because at this point, I think I've said everything that was on my mind and spirit. Yeah. My slightly inebriated brain is trying to think of something else to say that will be of a substantive irate bear nature, but I think I'm out. So guys, for this brief little interlude prior to the next debate tonight over on Satsu 2 cents, sorry, I should clarify. We will be broadcasting the debate tonight, but on D-Live, Satsu 2 cents' D-Live channel, because YouTube, as you may have noticed, has nuked anyone who decided to both stream and commentate on the previous debate and restrict their live stream capabilities for 90 days. Ranting Monkey cannot broadcast live stream wise for the next 3 months, unless or until they rescind that. So, Lords of the Night is going to be on my channel and Satsu's back and forth for the rest of the next several months, unless they change something. Monkey can't do his Monkey in the Morning shows. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But that's all beside the point. So anyway, if you haven't already, subscribe to our Twitter channels. Links are in the description of this video. If you want reference for what I was talking about at the top of the show, the article link is in the description. But yeah, I think I've said everything I have to say. I've vented enough. Hope you appreciate it. If you have thoughts of your own, comments, critiques, contradictions, by all means, put them in the chat. Sorry, the comments. Did I say that I was slightly inebriated? I am a little bit. But I'll give some shout outs here before I wrap up. Thank you for showing up, New Fate 26, Midnight in Exile, Christine Morse, Andrew Joyner, Cynical Lindsay, your whole Frosted Glass, Next 6 Minutes, This Kyle, Captain Assassin, and Andre Martins. Hello. Asian Hippie. Hello. Asian Hippie. I got to say, Asian Hippie is one of, as far as I can tell, one of my most loyal followers. Not only do I see comments from Asian Hippie on my own videos, but from time to time I go back to the original video, and Asian Hippie will have commented on the original video I may be doing commentary on. So Asian Hippie, thank you so much for being around as long as you have. Brian O'Connor, hello. Professor Chaos, hello again. Anna Mangold, Anonymous, star. Who else? Functional, hello. Necrosol again. Assassin of the Gray. No One, Nowhere, Michael Hatfield, Big Father Ent. Who else? MCRN Doniger. Anybody else that I've missed so far? Diesel Dave, hello. I think, okay. Belias Fire, hello. I'm scrolling up. His Kitten, hello. Shady Grin, Twisted Skipster, Pincalo the Driving Ape Man, Ebony Williams, Griffin, the Bat Douche, and Corey Suzuki. I think that is everybody who has shown up so far. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes, listening to me rant. Again, if you have your own thoughts or comments or anything you want to say, put in the comments below. And again, D Live, Satsu 2 cents on D Live. If you're not already following us, the three of us, Monkey, myself, and Satsu on Twitter, links are in the description. Follow us for those notices because tonight we'll be doing the debate on D Live, and hopefully we won't get nuked there like we were on YouTube. And your boy Pat, hello, your boy Pat, Red Chaos Tree, Andrew Joyner. Hi guys, and bye guys. Hope you guys have a good day. Take care.